Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar. We'll go through the latest Met Office weather warnings, as we do have multiple wind warnings issued over the next few days, mostly for northern regions, but the warning through Sunday and Monday is fairly widespread. It does look like we could be seeing a really quite severe system moving in, and I wouldn't be surprised now if it did get named. Now, we did see yesterday that we were seeing some exceptionally strong winds from the latest UKV, but other runs weren't agreeing with those exceptionally strong winds. Today, still seeing those exceptionally strong winds from the UKV, and the closer we do get to Sunday, the more confidence I do have that that system will be arriving with that intensity. Now, it does look like widely we'll be seeing 50, 60 miles per hour and in the bullseye zone across northern regions, especially Western Scotland and Northern Ireland. Could be even seeing 70, 80 and even a few 90 mile per hour gusts could be seen towards coastal regions. We'll be able to look at that in detail, as I said, on the latest UKV. And then we'll head into the longer range, look at the latest GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, as it does look like we are going to see a fairly unsettled next week or two with a westerly flow dominating. Again, we've seen this storm system on Sunday crop up fairly quickly in the last couple of days. I wouldn't be surprised to see more systems like that cropping up in the next week or two as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, looks like a fairly unsettled, maybe even stormy spell coming up the next couple of weeks. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, we did see some exceptionally heavy rain moving through last night. It did clear for most by sunrise this morning, and for most through Thursday, it has been fairly dry. Now, recording this just after 6 o'clock in the evening. And you can see it is a fairly dry evening, quite a big contrast to yesterday. As I said, a few showers cropping up across Scotland, but we will see increased precipitation as we head into Friday with a low pressure system arriving from the west. You can see lots of heavy rain across Europe. This is where we're getting some of that warm air getting mixed up with lower pressure. Luckily, we're not seeing anywhere near this magnitude of storms or rain. A lot of that precipitation we saw has now completely moved through. Now, do put on the temperatures this evening. You can see that it is still fairly muggy out there. Again, we have seen slightly fresher upper temperatures moving in, but it's not a massive drop, and that's meant at the surface it still felt fairly warm. Temperatures back down into the teens today, got up to 22 degrees yesterday, more like 17, 18 degrees today, and it'll drop another degree or two into tomorrow, and then especially into next week as we do see cold fronts starting to move in. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, I'm not going to go into these in too much detail, as they are exactly the same as we saw yesterday. We are seeing this Met Office issuing an early warning and then updating it nearer the time. Hopefully these do get updated tomorrow, perhaps shrunk, but updating the warning as necessary. And again, looking at the latest models for Sunday, would not be surprised to see amber warnings being issued or even a named storm status. Now, we've got this wind warning issued for Friday from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. Again, strong winds and high spring tides may cause some disruption in Western Scotland. Again, this has not been updated today, and you can see again it's 45 to 55 mile per hour wind, maybe 70 miles per hour in a few places, and it's for really only the northern and western Isles of Scotland. Now, into Sunday and Monday, we've got this very large warning covering all of Scotland, all of Northern Ireland, parts of Northern England and North Wales. Again, we've covered this in detail in yesterday's video, so we'll just go over it quickly. But again, it's for 3 a.m. on Sunday until midday on Monday. And again, it's for this big storm system moving in from the west. We're looking at 50 to 60 widely, maybe 60 to 70, and potentially even 70 to 80 in a few exposed locations, and potentially even upgrading that to a 90 mile per hour from the looks of the latest runs. Medium impact, low or very low likelihood. Again, I suspect these could change in the next update tomorrow, at least moving it up one notch in the warning impact matrix, maybe even two, moving it to an amber warning. We'll have to wait and see. Now, to go over to the latest UKV now, if we do start on the precipitation and then go over to the wind gusts, We can see that rain clearing through this morning, and through the rest of today it's fairly dry. But as we head into Friday, we start to see that westerly flow return, and we start to see some more heavy rain, especially in the west through the afternoon. You can see there is a really quite sharp gradient on that precipitation, and this red line appearing, that's line convection that is forming along the cold front boundary. Again, fairly common whenever we see big shifts in air mass, especially during autumn and winter months, as well into the spring. Not so much in the summer, but pretty much where we do get those big temperature contrasts with some cold air moving in, we get to see this line convection, and that's what we're seeing here as we head into Friday evening. Now, uncertain how much of it stays intact as it moves eastwards, but you can see it is fairly lively even across eastern regions where the weather front does lose its organisation a little bit as we head into Saturday morning. Now, for much of Saturday, after that rain in the morning, it is dry and it is fairly sunny, but much fresher as we do have that colder air moving in. Again, it's nothing especially cold, just fresher than we've got at the moment. And then it's really as we head into Sunday, we start to see this next low moving in. This is the storm system we've been talking about. Very heavy rain through Monday, through Sunday morning, into the afternoon clearing, and once it clears it won't be too bad behind it, but when we see this big spiral, that's the centre of the low, and this is where the strongest winds will be on its southern and eastern flank. And you can see why we're pointing out these northern and western regions for exceptionally strong winds. Now further southwards it will still be windy, but it won't actually be too bad. Precipitation mostly clears, bit of sunshine cropping up, and yeah, looks alright if we're being completely honest. But it's those northern regions, squally heavy showers moving in, and exceptionally strong wind gusts as we head through Sunday evening into Monday. And then for the rest of Monday into Tuesday, a little bit better as we do start to see that westerly flow returning, but with nowhere near as low of pressure. If you look at the mean sea level pressure quickly, as we head into Sunday, you can see that centre of the low moving through. And again, the low in itself is fairly deep, around 950 millibars, but it's not the sort of lower pressure side of it that is the thing that's driving those winds. Of course, you need low pressure to get these stronger winds, but it's that pressure gradient from 950 millibars just to the northwest of Scotland down to 1010 millibars across southern England, and it's that strength of gradient in that pressure that is causing the very, very strong winds. And you can see where the isobars are tightest across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. That's where we're going to see the strongest winds on that southern and eastern flank of the low pressure system. Now if you look at the wind gusts now, again, we do see some fairly strong wind gusts through Friday, but nothing really in excess of maybe 50 or 60. Again, bog standard weather front. But it's as we head into Sunday, look at that wind field moving in. Initially along the main weather front, maybe getting up towards 70 miles per hour, but mostly 50 to 60. And then around the centre of the low through Sunday afternoon, see this large area of 60 to 70. Quite a big purpley area here, appearing 80 plus, even 90 to 100. Mostly out in the sea, but I would not be surprised to see 90 miles per hour coming further inland. Definitely looking at 70 to 80, maybe even 90. Looks like a really exceptionally strong system that moves in, and again could be exceptionally lively for those northern regions before it slowly dies away. Now it does move through fairly quickly through Sunday, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 6 to 12 hours maybe of gale force winds as it does sweep through. Again, it does lose its intensity as it moves inland, but we're still looking at 70, 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour. So this could be a really significant system. And again, looking at this latest data, would suspect it would be named, would suspect amber warnings, but you never know. The model could be overdoing it a little bit. Again, we'll have to wait and see again for tomorrow's update. But higher confidence today that we are going to see something really, really lively into the weekend. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, you can see this afternoon, just about getting up into the high teens, 17, 18 degrees at best. Into Friday, it'll be slightly fresher, more towards the 15, 16 degree mark. And into Saturday, it is fresher once again, more down towards the sort of 14 to 16 degree mark. Again, very small differences, but it's the feel like as well. With slightly fresher air aloft as well, stronger winds, it will feel quite a bit colder on Saturday. As we progress into Sunday, again, we're seeing those stronger winds pushing in from the west. Mild in the far south, will be 16, 17. Much cooler further northwards. And again, it all depend on the shower and wind amounts. And then finally into Monday. Again, it's a fresher day, but still low to mid-teens in the south. more towards the double digits, just about in the north, really around average for the time of year. Now, if I do head over to the latest GFS, if we run through this, you can see that we have got that low pressure system moving in for Sunday, and it's going to be very lively across northern and western regions. You get it really spinning up there through Sunday into Monday. It does die out quite quickly into Monday, but at that point, it's moved away out to our north and our east. Now, in the days and the week following that, it's just a bog standard westerly flow. Yes, some high pressure could build in at times, but generally it looks pretty unsettled, oscillating between high pressure, low pressure, right in the extended range. We saw this again appearing in the model yesterday. Potentially some high pressure retrogressing towards Greenland could open the doors to colder air moving in. You can see a low stratospheric polar vortex move towards Scandinavia. This is the kind of setup that does bring cold northerly winds, and you can see some very cold air is heading our way by this point. But again, it is 384 hours, massive uncertainty. But the big positive I take from that is it is symbolic of a bit of a change. It does mean that perhaps the westerlies might not dominate for many weeks, maybe only the next week or so, and then we could see a change. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Just hints here at that extended range. If you look at the latest GM now, again, westerly flow coming in over the next few days. That storm system moving through on Sunday, really quite severe. And then eventually just a bog standard westerly wind. Perhaps some more high pressure across Europe could encourage more south to southwesterly flows, could be some more milder air. And actually towards day 10, it tries to halt that westerly flow with higher pressure building in across Europe. Big contrast to the GFS, but would be very interesting if that did occur, as it could be quite thundery in the west and south, but pretty warm and mild with those upper air temperatures. Getting into the double digits, that wouldn't actually be too bad. It's quite a big change there from the GM. And then finally, if we look at the latest ECMWF, again a westerly flow, pushing in with that storm system moving in on Sunday. And then eventually into next week, generally a westerly flow appearing, but similar to the GM, higher pressure trying to hold on late next week. So a good sort of 4 or 5 days of unsettled conditions, but perhaps trying to cut it short here with a low getting trapped to our southwest. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be dry. With this low pressure system getting trapped near or close by, it could actually be even more unsettled than a flat westerly, but it does give also equally a higher chance of something dry if the high pressure can win out over the top of us. But here at day 10, a bit of a cut-off low would be unsettled in the south and west closest to that low, but where we avoid the rain, it wouldn't be too bad with a southerly flow, southeasterly flow, and yes, some high pressure around, actually not too bad. Now, if you compare to the latest ensembles, latest GFS are just coming out. This goes out to the 28th, so day 11. You can see GFS probably doesn't really agree with too much high pressure involved. This is Glasgow, of course, we're looking at initially, and you can see it's hovering around average, lots of precipitation. London does agree a little bit of some higher pressure building in, but again, still quite a lot of precipitation in the next week to get through. So yeah, a few of the operational runs showing some high pressure, but the latest GFS ensembles, especially in the north, keeping it unsettled, I think, for at least the time being. If you compare to the ECMWF ensembles, just to finish off, again, you can see hovering around average in the longer range, slightly above in the near future, and you see lots of precipitation over the next few days. A little bit of a lull, perhaps in around a week's time next week, before the precipitation does start to pick up again into the longer range. So can't really take too much from that. Perhaps hints of higher pressure trying to hold on as we head into the final days of October. But we're going to have a lot more confidence and a lot more runs showing that before we can start to see that as a real possibility. Some hints. But as I said, at this stage, a westerly flow is looking most likely for the foreseeable future. Of course, we've got this big storm system arriving on Sunday. It does look like it is going to be very lively. How lively, still yet to be determined. But I do think there is a fairly high chance now we do see some upgrades to those warnings, and perhaps, as I said, even a named storm status. So make sure you stay safe out there as we head into the weekend, and I'll have some more updates out tomorrow and Saturday, hopefully narrowing down those impacts and looking at the relevant warnings. As I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.